What if we designed Caribbean architecture using Caribbean symbols similar to the way how West Africa has Adinkra symbols? Now, essentially, last week I spoke in a previous video about how we could essentially create these Caribbean symbols. And from these Caribbean symbols, we could use them in a plethora of ways to essentially influence the way how we create. In my case, as an architectural designer, creating form. Now, from these Caribbean symbols, you could make so many different kinds of architecture. You could design entire architectural facades for various typologies. So maybe a football gym, maybe a sound system coliseum. So looking at the way how the people live and then mirroring and marrying that exactly with Caribbean symbols that are placed in a manner or in a framework in a way that works. So looking at the images on the screen, you can see that from the Caribbean symbols, we could make a myriad of different structures that all feel, look, and speak back to the Caribbean culture. Now, I was creating this from the Jamaican lens because my descendancy is obviously Jamaican. My parents are Jamaican. And you all know that I've created 10 Caribbean symbols specific to Jamaica, but I feel like each island should have their own set of Caribbean symbols that even if it's just 3 additional Caribbean symbols that really resonates with that particular island. So as you see in this particular image, we used the speaker crown, flag flow, and X marks the spot in a series of repeated ornamentation to create what is the facade that you see on the screen. And I think just by doing this, by having these Caribbean symbols and then tying it back to the culture and creating spaces around the way how we live, not the way that they told us to live, we can create architecture and spaces that is inherently relevant to Caribbean culture itself. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments. How do you feel about the Caribbean symbols that we've created so far and the forms that we were able to generate from it that I hope one day will cover the entire lands of the Caribbean islands?